Hey guys, welcome back to Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Today we're going to assess what the community is saying and the response of the development team, who seem to be making some very positive strides in the right direction to answer some of the concerns the community has. If this is your first time here to the channel, I'd like to welcome you and encourage you guys to click on that watermark in the bottom right hand corner to subscribe, along with a follow if you're watching this on BitChute, as your participation by subscribing and clicking that like button is greatly appreciated. With this being my first time in Call of Duty, I'm somewhat reliant on the community to get a better understanding of past games and functionality. This way I can make distinctions between what players have to appreciate about the game design and those things that are newly introduced. We are 2 weeks into the game, so I am still enthusiastic and open-minded as to how the game is currently designed and trying to play within those parameters. Naturally, there are the typical early launch bugs and performance issues that we've been contending with, to include my 2D issue, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention some of the concerns the OG fanbase have been concerned about since launch. Those concerns revolve around the minimap and footstep sounds in the game, to mention two in particular. I did find it curious that the minimap and the current compass are two different reference points that players are looking at. In a first-person shooter where situational awareness is key, darting your eyes between a minimap, compass, and then your field of vision can be a bit distracting. Within most minimaps in first-person shooters, they typically give you your location in reference to your team and enemy fire or spotting. In Call of Duty, the minimap at best tells you where your teammates are or aren't. Within most minimaps in first-person shooters, they typically give you your location in reference to your team and enemy fire or spotting. In Call of Duty, the minimap at best tells you where your teammates are or aren't. With the way the game spawns players, you can use the minimap to determine where enemies may be if less of your team is appearing on the minimap, but then you have to be aware of your compass indicator with red diamonds to determine where enemy fire or spotting is coming from. This was something that I did take notice of, more so from the fact that in most first-person shooters, the less clutter on your screen the better, and having critical information in one area allows you to get that needed information without having to scan your eyes across several indicators. It may be fair to say that in Call of Duty I'm relying less on the minimap and focusing more on the compass. The compass is useful when you as a player are calling out locations to your teammates, so the compass does serve a practical purpose. Curiously, it would seem that first-person shooter development teams seem to be making adjustments to player awareness, because in Battlefield 5 we have a ping system to point out enemy players, but those are only useful within your own squad, and the ping appears on your main screen, while the minimap shows locations of the enemy that have been spotted by class ability or a perk. In past Battlefield games, we could spot an enemy as we saw them and they would appear on the minimap, but even DICE has moved away from this omnipresent system. From what we're reading from developer tweets, it would appear that Infinity Ward is bringing back the original minimap and its functionality. The next point of contention in the community is that of footsteps. You'll have to humor me here, guys, because the only reference I have is Battlefield, and that's just going to help me make distinctions since I've not played Call of Duty before. Footsteps in Call of Duty are quite pronounced. You can hear players approaching from at least 30 feet away, while also hearing the movement of your teammates and your own character. Battlefield has this very well dialed in, and you can make very clear distinctions. In Call of Duty, it's nearly a cacophony of ambient sound. When the game first launched, we did have the Dead Silence field upgrade that we could unlock, but even when using it, you could hear yourself, and of course the enemy could hear you as well. In the most recent update notes from Saturday, November the 2nd, which I will link for you up there in the top right hand corner to the video I did on that, in that update the development team said they dialed down the footsteps, but from watching the exclusive Ace video, he's demonstrating pre-patch and post-patch audio, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of difference. The Dead Silence field upgrade was addressed in a previous update, and that seems to have masked your footsteps incredibly well, so at least we have that going for us, but it's a field upgrade and has to refresh after a few moments of use. I am encouraged by the fact that the development team seems to be very proactive with the community and addressing their concerns, along with making needed bug fixes and changes that will help the quality of life in the game and satisfy the OG players who seem to be holding the development team to a standard that they have come to expect from them. And on that note, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this segment of Call of Duty. I'd encourage you guys now to click on that channel icon appearing right there on the screen to subscribe, along with notifications. That way you guys will have all the latest out of Call of Duty Modern Warfare.